So I just wanted to get a little feedback from you about the quarterly method process and the whole day that you spent with us and another couple.
Very well. First, I'll start with my wife and I are very much on the same page, which was nice to, I guess, have that conversation all at once and realize that we definitely are on the same page. Um, just as far as our goals, where we're at, what we do need to work on, like we know what we need to work on, but now it's forcing us to actually take the steps to do it. So the first week I got the big things that I needed to do done. And she did as well. So that was kind of nice because I kind of sometimes drag on the stuff that it's like, oh, I don't want to do that, but I know I need to. So it got it out of the way. So that was kind of nice having it on the table and making a list of priorities going, okay, I will do this, 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 and this. Lori had a bunch of stuff to do as well, which was awesome because she got it done on her day off and just kind of set the ball rolling. That's been nice. We set some goals to start in January. I guess kind of a resolution that nobody ever follows through on, except for now we're following through on it. Okay. Because it's in our face, right? The reminder is there, it's there, the goals are there. We know what we want, and that was nice, is to talk and come together on this is what we want, this is where we want to be. And now we have the I guess the plan, and now we can act on the plan instead of going, oh, wouldn't it be nice to, or yeah, one of these days we will. We found this time that we kind of sat down and went, hey, this is what we're doing and this is what we want.
Awesome. That's great. That's it's kind of refreshing to be able to get some stuff off your shoulders and just move forward. So before you decided to come in and work with me for that day, what was her thought? What were some of her biggest concerns before stepping into that?
Before stepping in, her big concern was she's very private. So for her, she's like, well, I can't share in a big group. And I said, no, like, that's not how this is going to work, right? So she was like thinking this is like going to be some sort of intervention style, or everybody's confessing their true feelings, which I assured her it's not all of that is like that. And she was impressed walking out going, wow, like we had the conversation. It was comfortable. We had our own places to go and talk to. You know, the other couple had their other place to talk to.
Good. So I'm glad that she felt that her privacy was respected. Yet she still got the opportunity to discuss with other couples that were going through something similar, or at least have a conversation around certain topics.
Yeah, that was kind of nice. So she was very much at ease by the end of it. Like at first, I know she was, not knowing what to expect.
Good. So you mentioned some other stuff that you've done. Have you done other stuff with your partner in this manner? Have you tried other things to be able to communicate and stay on the same page?
No, nothing like this at all. Both of us we've always believed in communication, and it's something that we're not, we weren't taught growing up. This is now something that we've been working on a lot, and through COVID and just through, like I said, some health issues last year, we've really worked on opening up with each other and eliminating that. So for us, we've been kind of working on it that way. Haven't done a course per se, so this was the first time going in with my partner and being able to sit down and maybe more of a formal setting.
Excellent. And then how did you feel before the process, and how do you feel after the process?
You know what? I know we're on the same page a lot, and we were before. But there were some areas that we did discuss, and I realized, holy cow, we did, we do mesh well together. Our goals the same, and it was kind of nice to have that reassurance. There was a couple of areas where we still need to work on it as a couple. I think everybody's going to have, nobody's perfect. And life evolves and changes. So, here you are, and then all of a sudden something else pops up and you got to work your way through it. It just kind of solidified that we are on the right path, and, just kind of made sure that we are headed in the same direction together and we want the same things.
It's a good feeling.
Very.
Awesome. Awesome. So was there a favorite part throughout the process that we covered? And if it's a favorite part, why is it a favorite part?
The list of values. Going through that, because I know what my list of values are. And you always, I guess, assume you know what your partners might be. But that was kind of opening up for me to see what she truly holds valuable. The love language and everything else kind of reinforces, I guess, what I already kind of knew, but it kind of brought it more into a solid form of, okay, this is what she values and this is what she likes. So kind of having that beginning part for me was kind of the favorite part. It was I mean, that's the most work in it all. But working on yourself, finding out what you want personally is a lot of work. It's not easy. But transferring that now into a couple, working with my wife on that, it kind of let me see into her. Like I said, she's not always the most open and verbal about things. So this kind of let me see into her desires and what's important to her life.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I'm glad that opened up some dialogue for you guys. It's one of my favorite parts. Was there, other than the list of values, was there something that was really helpful throughout the day or very, very impactful?
Helpful actually was you. And I mean, and I say this from an element of where I stand in my life now. Impactful was having you helping us through, because sometimes you do get stuck. But you bringing into maybe a little bit of a personal perspective, going, this is how I look at things, or this is kind of, some of the things that we've come up with, because this is something clearly that you have done yourself. You're not just preaching to the whole choir, you're practicing as well. So for me, having that personal, sometimes not, getting your personal business put out there, but just having that personal relation, sometimes, guess how do I want to say it? Sometimes it's nice to know, going, oh, okay, that makes sense, because sometimes it makes it easier to understand when you put it in more personal terms as clinical, if that makes sense.
Totally, absolutely. I'm glad I was helpful in that respect. That's my goal. I want to be able to open up the process and take people through the process and help them get unstuck, because really the people that are going through this process, they're doing their own work. I'm just showing them the path.
It's handing them the tools.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so sacred cows may be the hardest, but what was the easiest part of the process?
You know what? Coming up with the operating picture was probably the easiest part. Just because we had everything, and now this comes at the end of the course. We had everything from our list of values to our, love language, to what we want, to where we want to be, to, making our 1 year, 3 month list, everything else in between there. Coming to the end of it and together making that list based on what both of us had already worked on was probably the easiest part, because now it's like, oh, I mean, and again, our list was very similar in many aspects. There was a few differences in there, but now we can take the two and go like this as a couple, right? And make sure that everything that I want and she wants is going to happen.
That's awesome. I'm glad that was the easy part. That's the intent, because you have all the puzzle pieces now, and now you just put the puzzle together.
Yeah. So, right. Like it was pretty cool.
Did any of the outcomes from the day or the process or later conversations surprise you?
I guess what surprised me was how much of the same we do desire and want. Mm-hmm. I knew we have discussions all the time about where we want, we have our 3-year, 5-year plan, but this kind of fine-tuned it down to, this is what we really want in life, and this is where we're going to head. We're very big believers in manifesting, and it just kind of maybe focused us a little bit more on this is where we want to be.
Awesome. So since then, we touched on this a little bit in the very beginning, but since you guys have gone through the process, which was about 4-ish weeks ago, and then we had a holiday, and we know how crazy holidays can be. But is there anything that you guys feel like you've like really accomplished since those 4 weeks happened?
Yes. There was 2 of our big items that we wanted to accomplish and get started. We did. So that has changed. Instead of talking about it, we've actually had the plan in front of our faces, and we're going, we can't let Cheryl down. Like, we got to continue with us, right? So it's not that, and it's funny because it's not that you're our caretaker, but you've invested in us. So we're going to, in turn, be able to bring it back to you going, look at what we've done with your plan, right? Because it works.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm excited for the accountability part of it. That's fun. Okay. If you could give one piece of advice to someone who's thinking about improving their relationship or taking a course in this manner, what kind of advice would you give somebody if they're kind of on the fence?
What do you have to lose? At the end of the day, what do you have to lose? I mean, ultimately, you have your partner to lose, right? And you have your own integrity and everything else to lose. So is that worth it? Is it worth the miscommunication and everything else? Or is it worth building up and being able to work together? Because let's face it, like, we've been together for 11 years. And we always say we're still in the honeymoon phase, but the honeymoon phase does wear off. It does go away. That whole beginning, the excitement and everything else. So how do you bring it together and work together to create the life that you want? It's not easy. We all know that. It does take work. Communication is probably the hardest between any couple. I don't care who you are. Communication is probably the hardest. So to take a program like this, really just kind of fine tunes everything and brings it all together so that you can have that language and that communication between each other.
I agree wholeheartedly. Is there anything that I haven't asked that you feel like you would like to share, or you feel like it's really important for other people to hear about the process, or about me, or about what this can do for them? Did I miss any key questions?
I don't think so. As far as that's concerned, I work in a very busy job where I am, I'm a project manager. So my partner and I have to do constant communication, constant keeping lists, keeping track, and everything else. A marriage or relationship's not much different than that. It is a business. I have said that from the very beginning, because you have finances, you have, your kids, you have everything under the sun thrown at you. You have a house, you have utilities, you have everything to take care of. I don't look at it in a cold-hearted sense that it's a business, but it is a business. This kind of fine-tunes everything and meshes it together, and brings in the personal element of a relationship. So for me, it works because I can understand this, and I've done lots of courses and stuff. And it's like, ooh, that's a little bit too, way out the top. I don't know. Just, I can't sit there in a circle and sing Kumbaya with my partner and expect to come out feeling great, because that's not me. I'm the practical person. This is a practical, hands-on, step-by-step communication guide. I will call it a communication guide for lack of better terms, but it's step-by-step communication program guide. That kind of helps you build, and you give us the tools to do this every 90 days. Like, it's only up to us now to use this. You've given us the tools, so, but your tools are awesome. Like, I'm looking at it going, wow, I could use this in my workplace as well, right? Like, I could use the basic fundamentals in my workplace going, this is the goals that we need, this is where we do, just because of the nature of my job. I can see it helping so many different areas, with kids, with marriage, with aging parents, life throws everything at us at some point, right? Where you want to be as far as buying a house or retirement, or anything, any stage of your life. I think this is beneficial.
Awesome. 100% agree. Yep. And we love this process. We love what this process brings to the conversation. It's a more dynamic conversation as far as it pulls in different aspects that we wouldn't have just normally thought about.
Yeah.
It kind of guides you through, okay, well, financial, okay, well, love, kids, pets, all these things are like brought in without, like, unless something's bugging you, sometimes you don't think about those things.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes that's, I mean, that's come up for us before too, unless it gets to that pushing point where you can't take it anymore. Sometimes it doesn't get talked about. Mm-hmm. Or, you don't think there's importance to it. And then all of a sudden it comes out and it's like, oh, you were thinking the same thing. Okay, we need to address this, right? So, yeah. Yeah.
Super helpful. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you more than you know.